Hey everyone, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to be going over my Nightblade build that I have been using for the Gold Road chapter. I think that this build is one of the best builds that I've played in a very long time. The survivability is amazing, and the damage is even better. So I really like this build, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. Let's get on with the build. So, let me get rid of that. All right, so to start off with, we're going to be a Khajiit on our Nightblade because Khajiit is always best in slot for Nightblade. The extra crit passives that you get from that are just amazing, and I definitely think that this is the best way to go for this class. Also, looking at our sets, most of it's going to be the same, and I realize that, and I know that. I'm trying out some new stuff, and I'm tweaking things very slowly but surely with scribing. I don't want to change too much too quickly, so we're going one step at a time. So before we get to that point, let's go over our attributes real quick. 37 points are going to be into magic, 14 points are going to be into health, and 13 points are going to be into stamina to give us a max magic pool of 23.5k, a max health pool of 32k, and a max stam pool of 17.8k. We're also going to be using Orzorga's Smoked Bear Hunch for our food. That's going to increase our max health and give us stamina and magic recovery. If you can't afford that because it's pretty expensive, use the Jewels of Miserable food. That is just as good and a lot cheaper. And also we're Vampire Stage 3. Vampire Stage 3 with that Undeath passive is huge. I know that they reworked it a little bit, but I still think that it is definitely a great way to go. I am also using the Atronach as my Mundus stone to increase my overall recovery. I felt like it was a little bit necessary to make sure that we're alive. I mean, I think that we're fine with still building to this. Our pen is at 9.2k still, just resting. Our crit percentage is 41.7k. Trust me, we have damage on this build. I use this to get that extra little bit of recovery, and it's definitely the move in my opinion. Oh, whoa! I was like, that doesn't happen when I'm usually recording a video. Yes, guys, see, Jake knows the deal. Subscribe to the channel, guys. If you're still watching the video and you're not subscribed, look, if that's not an omen, subscribe. I am completely offline recording this at 9:30 at night. That's how you know. Subscribe to the channel. So anyway, Atrio Mundus is definitely the way to go to help our overall magic recovery. So moving on to our gear, we're going to be using Balorg as our monster set. That's nothing new for Nightblade, but we're still going to use it regardless because I think it's one of the best ways to go. We're using a heavy reinforced helmet and a medium well-fitted shoulder. Balorg is going to give you weapon and spell damage, and then also increases when you use your ultimate ability, you're going to gain weapon and spell damage equal to the total amount of ultimate consumed. So if you use 200 ultimate, you're going to get 200 weapon and spell damage back. And then also, when you use that ultimate, you're also going to get physical and spell penetration equal to 23 times that amount as well. So you're just getting a bunch of extra damage for the next 12 seconds as well, also counting that ultimate too. So that is just a huge source of extra damage, and it's one of the best reasons. It's one of the best monster sets to use on Nightblade. It's actually probably the best monster set to use on Nightblade because it just helps increase your overall damage, and it's definitely the way to go. Our front bar set is going to be Order's Wrath. We're going to be using a heavy reinforced chest piece for this. Order's Wrath is going to give you crit chance, weapon and spell damage, crit chance, another line of crit chance, but that's actually 943 crit chance. The other two are 657. And then your other 5 piece is going to increase your critical damage and critical healing done by 8%. So that's huge for your overall damage. You're critting a lot on this build. You have 41.7% crit chance on here, so you are critting very, very often on this build. I definitely recommend using Order's Wrath. I've been using it on a lot more builds lately, and it's probably going to be one of my favorite things to use in this patch again. Also, we're using medium well-fitted bracers of Order's Wrath. And then our back bar, it is no surprise, we're back to Rallying Cry because Rallying Cry is amazing and it's very strong in my opinion. So we're using a light Rallying Cry sash in Divines. Rallying Cry is going to give you a line of crit chance, max magic, another line of crit chance, and while Battle Spirit is active, so that means when you're in Cyrodiil, Battlegrounds, Imperial City, or a duel, those are the 4 conditions for that. Critically healing yourself or an ally is going to cause you and up to 11 group members within 12 meters of you to gain 300 weapon and spell damage and 1650 crit resist for 20 seconds. And then also, the more people you have in the group, the less that buff is going to be. So this is best when you're in a solo or small scale environment. But regardless, Rallying Cry is amazing because you can just go right into crit. You have all that crit resistance, and that is amazing for your defense. So after that, you don't really need any of your small pieces to be impen, so you can kind of build more into damage or even recovery. I mean, I have divines on because this is always my piece, so that's going to increase my overall recovery because I have Atromundus on. I'm also using a lot of well fitted because of that as well, because I don't need any impen because I have that much crit resist already. Moving on, we're also using heavy legs of Order's Wrath reinforced, and then also medium trainee boots in divines. We have one extra slot in this build, so using trainee is just the way to go. You get that extra little bit of max health. And then we're also using double rallying cry rings. Both are going to be infused with weapon and spell damage enchantments on it, as you can see. And then we're also back to using Saint and the Seducer. This is probably going to be my mythic of choice this entire patch. Basically, a lot of these build videos that you're going to see, especially to start off with this patch, are going to have Saint and the Seducer on it because this thing is absolutely amazing. And guys, I recommend going out and grinding this as soon as possible. So what Saint and the Seducer does, it is going to be while you're in combat, you're going to gain one of 5 random major buffs, which changes every 10 seconds. And then enemies within 12 meters of you are going to gain one of 5 random minor debuffs depending on which buff you have. And so the available buffs can be, you can have major berserk, then your enemies will have minor maim. You can have major resolve and your enemies will have minor breach, major force, minor brittle, major evasion, minor vulnerability, major courage, and minor cowardice. So a lot of people have also been asking me, if you already have a buff up, will it still give it to you? And unfortunately it will. So that major resolve proc is kind of useless, let's be completely honest, but all the other ones are still really good. We're also kind of doubling up on major evasion on this build, but minor vulnerability is nothing to be shy about either. But when you do get that major berserk proc, when you get that major force proc, when you get that major courage proc, your damage is going through the absolute roof. So having 3 out of 5 chance ain't bad. And if you could time that up properly, when you have, what I've been doing is when I wait for the major force proc to come up, it's the white circle. When that pops up, use your incap into bow proc, and it is disgusting. If you crit either of those, your enemy's dying most likely. It is amazing. So this is going to be infused with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. And then also we're using dual wield maces of Order's Wrath. I felt like our crit damage was already high enough, so I didn't really need to use axes. So I went with maces to increase our overall penetration. So we're going to be using main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a poison damage enchantment on it, and our offhand is going to be sharpened with a shock damage enchantment on it. And then back bar is going to be a rallying cry ice staff, defending with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it as well. So moving on, let's go to our champion points next. Our blue slottables are going to be fighting finesse, untamed aggression, mastered arms, and deadly aim. I have been going straight into all damage CP lately. I'm kind of tired of just stalemating every fight. I am just going for either damage, so I'm either gonna die swinging or I'm gonna kill people. So I'm tired of playing defensively, guys. People play so tanky now, and I'm just so tired of it. I'm going for damage nowadays. Red slottables are going to be survival instincts, relentlessness, celerity, and pain's refuge. And then green tree, what we really care about is breakfall, rationer, and liquid efficiency. So moving on to our skills, our main spammable is going to be concealed weapon. This is going to be a great source of damage without us even being buffed up. We don't have our major brutality buff up. We also get minor courage from our major brutality buff as well. We also get that rallying cry proc for that extra little bit of a weapon and spell damage. Our tooltip is already 9k basically on that, and we don't even have our buffs up yet. So this ability is a great ability to have with your overall damage. It's amazing. Also on top of that, you're going to have minor expedition at all times, so it's going to increase your movement speed by 15%. Also, when you leave sneak or invisibility while in combat, it's going to increase your damage done with this ability by 10% as well. And you are coming out of stealth very frequently. It is amazing. I definitely recommend it. Also, you're setting your enemies off balance with this too, so you can line up some easy bow procs with this. Also, shadowy disguise is going to turn you invisible, so this is a great defensive maneuver. It's also good offensive because your next directed damage attack used within 3 seconds will always be a critical strike, and so when we're critting on this build, we are destroying health bars. It is definitely worth it to use this because also you're going to get major prophecy and savagery, so that's going to increase your weapon spell critical by 2,600 on both bars as well. We're also going to be using power extraction. Power extraction, in my opinion, is just too good to swap out right now, because for this, it's going to be a little bit of an AoE, which is nice. It's not the most amount of damage, but you don't need it to be the most amount of damage. But what it's really good for is it gives you major brutality and sorcery, so that's going to increase your weapon spell damage by 20%, and it gives you minor courage, so that's what I was referring to earlier. This is going to give you minor courage, so it's going to increase your weapon spell damage by 215 as well. So when you use this ability, your weapon spell damage goes through the roof. Definitely make sure you have this up at all times when you're in the middle of a fight. And then this is going to be my scribing skill on here. I don't know if it's the best or not, but I kind of like it a lot for now. I still want to test a few things out, but overall I'm really digging this, because having this source of major breach on my front bar makes it so that my movement feels a lot more fluid. So this is going to be 7,000 magic damage to enemies that are going to be hitting that you're going to be hitting with this. Also, it's going to do a little bit of a dot over 10 seconds. I mean, it's not really too much damage, let's be completely honest, but it's still a dot, it's still extra damage. But also, enemies are going to be afflicted with major breach, which is going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k. So that is a great amount of damage that you can put on your enemies as well. And then Merciless Resolve, the most OP skill in the game. Having a tooltip of 16.6k without any kind of buffs up is kind of ridiculous. So we're using this because it's just, in my opinion, the strongest offensive skill in the game. So when you use 5 light or heavy attacks, you're going to be able to shoot off this Merciless Resolve, and you're going to be able to delete somebody's health bar very quickly. It's great and very balanced. And then Incapacitating Strike is a great combo to use with your Merciless Resolve. It's the combo as old as time, and there's a reason why you see every single Nightblade doing this, because it's a very strong combo. Because Incap, when you have it over 130 ultimate, is going to stun your enemies. So if you can get that Incap into a Merciless Resolve proc, you are going to delete health bars. It is the way to go. I know I've said that 1,000 times, but I'm going to keep on saying it. Anyways, Incap is just really strong. It's a really great ability to use. Plus, it's really cheap, so it's going to give you that extra little bit of Balorg weapon spell damage and penetration pretty consistently. So that's also buffing the damage of your Merciless Resolve procs. That's what I'm saying. All right, back bar, we're going to be using Phantasmal Escape. This is going to be your source of major evasion. So yes, we are doubling up on major evasion at times with our Saint and the Seducer. So it's going to reduce our damage taken from AoEs by 20%. So look, I'll take that. That's extra little bit of damage mitigation at all times. But what's really good about this skill is activating this ability is going to remove all snares and immobilizations from you and grant you immunity to them for 4 seconds. So it's really good for getting you out of sticky situations when you're getting snared, when you're getting immobilized. Hit this ability, boom, you're out of there. Also, what's really cool about this ability that you really want to take advantage of more often, while active, taking direct damage is going to reduce the cost of your next roll dodge by 10% up to a maximum of 100%. So basically what's happening is when you take a certain amount of direct damage, you're going to get a pretty cheap roll dodge after a little bit of time, and we're using a lot of well fitted as well. It is great for your overall roll dodge sustain. We're also using Refreshing Path. Refreshing Path is going to give you a lot of things in one. What's really good about this is it's going to give you major expedition, so you're going to be really fast. It's going to give you minor endurance and minor intellect as well, so it's going to increase your stamina and magic recovery by 15%. So that's helping your overall recovery. Definitely do not sleep on that. Make sure this is active at all times. Also, it's going to heal you for a little bit while you're standing in the AoE as well. So that's a great way to keep your heals up. It's a great way to proc your rallying cry when you're on your back bar. Make sure that this is up at all times. Also, Resolving Vigor. This is like a basic skill that everybody should use. It's a 5-second heal over time that helps you get right back up to full health. And on top of that, you're going to get minor resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds. And then Healthy Offering as well. This is going to be your burst heal. So when Resolving Vigor and Refreshing Path ain't cutting it with the heals, hit Healthy Offering, boom, right back up to full health. The extra, dude, I've hit insane amounts of Healthy Offerings on people. I've hit like upwards of 14Ks consistently. It is just, it's a very strong heal, and I definitely recommend putting it on your bar. Also, you're going to get minor mending after casting for 10 seconds, which is going to increase your healing done by 8%. And then also, I've got Leeching Strikes on my bar. This is insane, this skill. I never really used this until recently, and I don't think I'm going to really be able to use Nightblade without this from now on. This is so much sustain, it's actually crazy. So channel a portion of your soul to convert health to 2000 magic and stamina, which is really good because that's so much stamina magic sustain. And then also, while slotted on either bar, your soul yearns for the warmth of life. All damage you deal heals you for 2300 health, which is really cool. Like, that's a lot of healing over time, and reduces the cost of your next leeching strike by 10%, stacking up to 10 times. So basically, after about 10 seconds, if you're just doing consistent damage, you get a free leeching strike, which is just free sustain. I mean, I still use this very often. If you combo this and use this and vigor together, it is just great. Like, you don't even feel the health taken from you. You just get sustained back for the most part. It's definitely worth it. Trust me, guys, try this. I don't think after this, I've tried this, I don't think I'm gonna ever use Rich Vitality again. I don't think I need it with this. This sustain is so good. And then finally, we're also using Temporal Guard on our back bar. Basically, the only reason why we're using this is for that minor protection, so it's going to reduce our damage taken by 5%. So it makes us a little bit tankier when we're on our back bar. And also, real quick, I'm using tripods as well. Increase that magic stamina health recovery. And then also on top of that, it gives you so it's going to give you major intellect and major endurance. So it's going to increase your stamina and magic recovery by 30% as well. So please do not sleep on tripods. They are definitely worth it. It helps your recovery a lot. And that is the entire build, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed. This build has been super strong, and I definitely recommend trying it. It's a really basic build for the most part, but we're trying a bunch of new things for this patch, for this chapter, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. Two things real quick. If you are already subscribed to the channel, hitting that like button does help me out a lot. And if you are already subscribed to this channel, I do have another YouTube channel which I post on every single day. It is a Battlegrounds channel. So if you like actual PvP content instead of me just talking about PvP content, because look, everybody's got their own thing, I would really appreciate you guys going over and subscribing to that. The link to that will be the first link in the description. I would really appreciate you guys going over and subscribing to that channel. It would really mean a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get on with the footage for this build, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.